At boxing's summit, greatness isn't given, it's seized. Terrence Crawford shocked the world, dismantling Canelo Álvarez to become the first man ever to rule as undisputed champion in 4 divisions. But beneath him, giants refused to bow. Usyk bending heavyweights into pawns, Inoue striking fear with every punch, Bivol, Stevenson, Benavidez, each carving a path toward immortality. This isn't just a list of champions. It's the pound-for-pound battlefield of 2025, where every punch risks legacy and every victory rewrites history. So, before we dive into the legends, the monsters, and the kings of today's boxing world, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because the fight for greatness is just beginning. At the very top of the mountain stands a man who has conquered division after division, and somehow, each time, makes the impossible look inevitable. Terence "Bud" Crawford. Not long ago, he sat at number 3, waiting for the chance to cement his greatness. That chance came against Canelo Álvarez, the face of boxing, the man who had ruled super middleweight like a king on a throne. The fight was billed as a clash of eras, a test of will and skill. But once the bell rang, the truth inside the ropes told a very different story. He seized control, dismantling Canelo piece by piece, round after round, until the Mexican superstar looked human, flustered, frustrated, and searching for answers that never came. Crawford leaps through divisions with the kind of daring most fighters only dream of, and he conquers them all. Undisputed in 4 weight classes, he stands alone in boxing history, a master who keeps rewriting the limits of greatness. At 37, he isn't just a champion. He is pound-for-pound excellence in its purest form. The question is no longer if Crawford is the best of his generation. It's whether we are witnessing one of the greatest fighters the sport has ever known. But just beneath him, refusing to yield his own claim to greatness, is a man who has turned the heavyweight division upside down. Oleksandr Usyk. His story is one of mastery, a chess player in a land of giants. Standing smaller than nearly every opponent, he has made titans look clumsy, confused, beaten at their own game. His rematch with Daniel Dubois was supposed to test his limits. Instead, it reminded us why Usyk is one of the most brilliant heavyweights this century has seen. Gone was the controversy of their first fight. This time, he left no doubt. By the 5th round, Dubois was finished, undone by precision, angles, and a relentless pace. With 2 wins apiece over Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and now Dubois, the Ukrainian has nearly emptied the division of credible challengers. The likely next man up is Joseph Parker, but with every victory, Usyk builds a resume that whispers of all-time greatness. Still, one can't help but wonder, in a division built on size and power, how much longer can Usyk's sublime skill keep him untouchable? And then there's a fighter whose brilliance comes in bursts of violence, so sharp and so clinical that fans across the world call him the monster. Naoya Inoue. Inoue's drop from number 2 to number 3 isn't a mark of failure. It's simply the cruel arithmetic of greatness. Crawford, when over Canelo, was too seismic to ignore. Yet Inoue continues to be as close to flawless as boxing allows. Against Murajan Akhmadaliyev, he delivered another masterclass. Not through reckless aggression this time, but through patience, intelligence, and pure control. He dissected his opponent, using skill over power, dominance over destruction, and left with a wide, unanimous decision. Now undefeated in 31 fights with 27 knockouts, Inoue stands on the edge of history. A December showdown with Sam Goodman Picasso awaits, but it's the looming clash with fellow Japanese star Junto Nakatani that sets the imagination on fire. Japan, a nation already captivated by boxing, could soon witness the biggest fight in its history, a battle not just for belts, but for national pride, for generational supremacy, for the right to be called the king of the East. But as Inoue sharpens his legend, another quiet storm continues to rise in the light heavyweight ranks. Dmitry Bivol. For years, Bivol's one blemish was Artur Beterbiev, the wrecking machine with fists like hammers. In February, Bivol avenged that loss with a performance that silenced doubters and re-established him as one of the sport's elite. Cool under pressure, precise in execution, he dismantled his rival, proving that skill can tame even the most savage of punchers. The victory has set up the possibility of a rubber match with Beterbiev, a fight that would settle their rivalry once and for all. Beyond that looms another monster, David Benavidez. Should Bivol emerge victorious again, a clash with the Mexican monster could define the next era of the light heavyweight division. While the spotlight often shines on the giants, boxing has always hidden gems in the smaller weight classes. One of them is a 25-year-old prodigy who fights with a maturity beyond his years, Jesse "Bam" Rodriguez. Somehow, Rodriguez remains underrated, despite an unbeaten record and a growing collection of titles. His recent victory over Cafu, a brutal 10th round stoppage, showcased everything that makes him special: footwork, timing, and a knack for finishing fights when the moment arrives. When people talk about the lower weight divisions, the conversation almost always begins and ends with Naoya Inoue. Maybe it's time that changed. With an upcoming clash against WBA champion Martinez, Rodriguez has a chance to not just collect another belt, but to demand the respect his talent has long deserved. If he succeeds, Bam may force the boxing world to acknowledge that the future belongs to him. But no story in boxing is complete without its contrasts. On one end of the spectrum lies Rodriguez's youth. On the other, the raw, destructive power of a man who has built his reputation on pure violence, Artur Beterbiev. Though his rematch with Bivol ended in his first professional loss, Beterbiev reminded the world that he is still one of the most dangerous men in the sport. 21 wins, 20 knockouts. His record reads like a warning label. For now, he stays active, unwilling to fade, lining up a November bout with Nicholson as he waits for another crack at Bivol. At 39, time may not be on his side, but for as long as he laces up gloves, no opponent can take him lightly. Then comes Shakur Stevenson, the lightweight maestro, the man who makes the ring his canvas. Critics once said he coasted, that his brilliance was too efficient, too safe. Against Zepeda in New York, Stevenson silenced those doubts. He didn't just outbox his opponent. He outfought him, using aggression, combinations, and bodywork to prove that when pushed, he can dominate in ways that thrill the crowd as much as they frustrate his rivals. Still unbeaten, still improving, Stevenson now faces a familiar problem. Who is willing to face him? And can anyone truly solve the puzzle he presents? Few men embody frustration like David Benavidez. For years, he waited in vain for a chance to fight Canelo. Now, a light heavyweight, he faces the same wall of avoidance. Rivals acknowledge his talent, but none seem eager to stand across from him. They call him the Mexican monster for a reason. Wins over Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, and David Morrell have already proven his caliber, and at only 28, he has yet to reach his physical prime. In November, he'll meet Anthony Yarde in what promises to be a firefight. The question isn't whether Benavidez will get his shot, it's when, and whether anyone will survive it when it comes. And while Inoue holds the spotlight in Japan, another warrior from the same nation quietly builds his own empire, Junto Nakatani. Nicknamed Big Bang, Nakatani unified the bantamweight titles with a knockout victory over Nishida in June. 5 fights, 5 knockouts since moving to the division. His power is undeniable. Yet his story feels like destiny, slowly winding toward a clash with Inoue. Should the two collide, it won't just be a fight. It will be a cultural event, the type of night that stops a nation, maybe even the world. Finally, we arrive at a man whose name has defined boxing for more than a decade, Canelo Álvarez. For years, he was the standard, the measuring stick, the king of pound for pound. But time spares no one. Against Crawford, under the bright lights of Las Vegas and before 70,000 fans, he looked human. His skill, his timing, his fire wasn't enough. He handed over his undisputed crown with grace, but also with the weight of inevitability. Nearly 70 fights, 20 years in the sport, and a body that has endured more than most men could dream of. At 35, Canelo remains a legend, but legends fade. The question now is no longer about what he has done. It's about what remains. Is this the twilight of one of Mexico's greatest champions? Or does he have one more run left in him? One more night to remind the world why they once called him the face of boxing? This is the pound-for-pound landscape of 2025. A mosaic of legends and rising stars, of giants and monsters, of skill and savagery. Crawford stands alone at the top, but for how long? Usyk, Inoue, Bivol, Stevenson, each has their own claim, their own hunger. The names on this list aren't just fighters. They are the beating heart of a sport that lives on drama, glory, and the pursuit of greatness. So the question lingers. In a world where every punch can change a career, every fight can reshape history, who will still be standing when the dust settles? Before you go, don't miss out on exclusive perks. Click the link in the description to become a channel member. You'll get early access to videos, a chance to suggest future topics, and more. Your support keeps this channel alive and helps us bring you the boxing stories you love. If you enjoyed this pound-for-pound breakdown, hit that like button, drop a comment with your own rankings, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And while you're here, check out our deep dive into Canelo Álvarez. It's a story you don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.